And Genesis 3:19, we are dust, and dust you shall return. Amen, Brother Ernest. May you rest in peace.
Nova, Charlotte, Ralph Angel.
Yeah, that's how they do you. If you're poor, if you're black, if you live in the ninth.
I'm the CEO of a business known as Davis West.
I ain't have a choice back then, but I do now.
Nova, Charlotte, Ralph Angel.
Greetings and welcome to Cultural Caravan TV. I'm your host for today, Rabin Nickens, and today we are joined by actor Nicholas Ashe, one of the stars of the critically acclaimed hit series Queen Sugar that is created by Ava DuVernay as well as Oprah Winfrey, and is now in its third season. Welcome to Cultural Caravan TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes.
Now, is it Rabin or Robin?
It's Rabin.
It depends on who you ask.
It depends on who you ask.
Copy.
That's right. Just like sometimes, is it Nick or Nicholas? What do you prefer?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
You know what I get, though? I get Ashe a lot. It's just Ash.
Okay.
Yeah, no accent.
Okay, I think some people
No
trying to
Beyonce.
put like the cultural part to it, like Ashe.
Yeah, Ashe, God.
Nicholas Ashe, there you go.
God is here, but just not in my last name.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, the series is based on the book by Natalie Brazil. I know it follows these, the three siblings who inherit a sugarcane plantation.
Yeah.
And as many of our viewers know, you're the son of one of the characters. And this is one of your first major roles on TV. So tell us a little bit about how you got into acting in the first place.
Yeah, I started performing like every other kid in school. I was in the chorus, I was in the drama club. And one day my mom heard about auditions for The Lion King on the radio. So we showed up and we were thinking this was some like local production in Harlem, but come to find out it was for the Broadway production. And that was my first foray, not only into performing professionally, but just like seeing a bunch of people I admired, supporting themselves by doing what they love, by making art, by dancing, by singing. So that was like a real, it was a pivotal moment in like my upbringing to get Lion King.
And are you formally trained? Where do you pull from
No,
your
I mean,
experience?
that felt like a formal training kind of, because I was working with people who had attended Juilliard and, again, made a lifetime career out of dancing, singing, you name it. And since then, I didn't get the opportunity to go to college, but the high school I went to had an incredible music program. So I was learning music theory, I was applying myself in a musical every year while auditioning professionally and learning from different directors and actors throughout Manhattan.
What a wonderful training ground to actually learn by experience.
Totally.
Who do you draw inspiration from in the industry? Like, do you have any role models?
Oh God, everyone's killing it right now. That's why it's hard to say like this is my one true idol. I'm really impressed with a lot of the young showrunners.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like Donald Glover, Issa Rae, like they're all out here killing it so young, writing, starring, producing their own work. And that's inspirational to me because in addition to acting, I want to direct. I want to do it all, honestly. So they give me a nice trajectory of what is possible.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, speaking about, your role in Queen Sugar, particularly that you're acting, I know there's other things you'll do, which we'll get to. How did you come upon getting that role? I mean, this was something that, when people heard about it, that it was coming to the screen based off of the book, I'm sure there are tons of actors that were really interested in it. But what exactly was the process of actually getting the role?
It was like any other audition. We have what's known as pilot season. So that's around February, when all of these new shows are being produced. But something about this script resonated with me. And then when I went to do my homework on the source material, Micah's a girl in the book.
Yes.
So when I first read it, I was like, is this like a transgendered role? Like, what are they doing with this thing? But come to find out that Ava just felt the weight of what happens in that very first episode. Spoiler alert, when my father has been caught cheating on my mother, that it would weigh heavier on a young boy, that it would inform his upbringing that much more. So she started seeing male actors for it, and just went in and gave what I thought the role could be, and luckily that resonated with her. I remember in my audition, there was one point where Ava just like sent, you know, all the executives and like casting directors out of the room. And she pulls up a chair and sits across from me and she's like, so what's up? I'm like, what's up? She's like, how was your day? I was like, good, long. Okay. I missed my train. I was almost late here. But she just, she prides herself in casting for energy. You know what I mean? We have long hours on set. She wants to work with team players and hard workers. So in addition, you know, everyone can act. I'm sure everyone that went in there gave a great read for Micah. But she was looking for energy. And I'm telling you, with this cast, there's just like a synergy. There's a connection that we all share. So it really, so grateful for this opportunity and for that moment.
Yes, and I think we're really grateful for you being in the role. As many of our viewers know, spoiler alert again.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
If you haven't binge watched, you need to binge watch, you know, the first 2 seasons. But Micah goes through a somewhat traumatic experience dealing with police misconduct. Tell us about how you were able to bring that to the fore, whether that's through your own personal experience or what you've, you know, gleaned from what's going on in the world today.
Yeah. It was really heavy. I was so grateful. If you've seen season 1 and season 2, Micah's storyline got really intense really suddenly, and I was grateful that they trusted me with that challenge. And I've always wanted to, you know, be a bit political in what I do artistically. You know what I mean? Making sure that everything I touch is saying something. And I was so grateful for that storyline because there are so many people who look and love like me who have been at the hands of police brutality that don't live to tell their story. So I felt a huge service to tackle that storyline with great sensitivity and honesty. And what was happening in that moment of filming the scene where he reveals it, as I was thinking on the Khalif Browders and the Trayvon Martins, and it was a really heavy moment, and that's just a testament to what Queen Sugar is. You know, we don't just take great pride in the stories that we tell, but in how we tell them, how patiently we, you know, water the flower, you know? Yeah.
And it makes me think about, you know, when you say storytelling, I think a lot of people don't know that you yourself are a storyteller and a writer. As a matter of fact, didn't you write a film, Last Looks, that premiered a couple of years ago at Urban World.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that film, what it was about, what inspired you to write it?
Totally. Shout out to Sierra Glaude. Sierra Glaude is our director. She started as a production assistant with Ava some projects ago and has been in Ava's loop since then. But we all are just trying to climb that ladder. So she was like, she wanted to make something. She asked me to write it. And we were thinking on what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted it to be short. We wanted to use people in our corner. Regina Wesley stars in the film. Okay. So it was just a love project that we were tapping on. You do hair? Come do this. You do makeup? Come do our movie. And it just became this really awesome love project. As far as the story, there's a place called Veretz where some of the story takes place in New Orleans. Really cool, sexy jazz lounge. Think like Erykah Badu vibes, Lauryn Hill, like it's just real sexy, you know what I mean? And I went there because she wanted to use it as her location, and we met a woman there who shared the story of doing her brother's makeup for his funeral. He had committed suicide, and she sat with him, and she is a makeup artist, but she sat with him and had to do his makeup, and I thought it was so compelling that she wasn't tormented by that story, but she found strength in it. So that, you know, I want to tell stories that heal, and the fact that I can imagine the internal work you have to do to be able to sit through something like that. And she said she just sat there talking to him. She was like, why'd you do this? Like, why don't you just come to me? And I was so moved by that experience that we tried to chronicle it in our story Last Looks. And it made it to Urban World, and it made it to Issa Rae's YouTube channel. So I'm happy. I'm happy that people are seeing this thing.
Yes, yes, and I think more people now that they, if they haven't already seen it, now that they know about it, will probably seek that out.
Yeah, Last Looks.
Yeah, and it seems like you really draw from not only the world around you, but what you want to do in terms of bringing stories to light. Like you just mentioned the whole idea of representing people that look and love like us.
Yeah.
So when it comes to some of your other endeavors, your future endeavors in terms of like writing or acting, like what type of stories do you feel like you want to either as an actor or as a writer still yet bring about to the screen or to the stage?
What's tricky is like when I started writing, I studied for a long time with Terrell McCraney, who would go on to win for Moonlight.
Moonlight, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He wrote.
He's been on the show.
Oh yeah?
Yes, he has.
No way.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
studied under him for a long time. We did an off-Broadway play called Choir Boy.
Okay.
That's actually coming back to Broadway later this year. But I digress. I studied under him for a while, and for a long time, I was writing just like my experience going to the bodega and just talking to the guy there. But the challenge is in storytelling is to make your experience universal. You know, to say that this is everybody's story, that everyone can have, as specific as the story is, everyone can have a way in. I see it all around me with Black Panther, with Wrinkle in Time about to come out. Like we can be fantasy, we can be thriller, horror, sophisticated, whatever we want to be. So there's no limit in what I want to produce, but again, just how I want to produce it.
So it sounds like, Nick, that you really draw from not only the world, but your own interests, particularly bringing to light the stories of the lives and the loves of people that look like us.
Yeah.
So what other stories do you think you want to bring to light, either as an actor or as a writer at this point?
I think that we as artists have an obligation to chronicle the times in which we live, you know? So even if we are doing a period piece or we're doing some thing that's about futurism or something that's fantastical, that story has to exist in a universal way that allows us to better navigate our lives now, you know? So I'm trying to, again, I'm telling stories that about people who look and love like us, create just a universal platform. I want to make timeless work. I want to make cool stuff, you know, with cool people that I'm proud to know. If I could support myself doing that, I'd be happy. Easier said than done, because a lot of my work right now is just like unfinished drafts on my laptop and like
Oh, really?
piano chords and things.
Okay.
But something about Queen Sugar and seeing Black Panther and Wrinkle in Time gives me like a new vigor to like see those projects into fruition. Like it's never too early to start, and everybody has to start somewhere. You know, when you look at Drake's earlier stuff versus him now, he became so good because he was testing his magic. So that's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I just have art that I need to make.
Yes, it sounds like you're really trying to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, speaking about your background, you know, Drake started from the bottom, now he's here.
Now he's here.
Yeah, now you're here. Hey, being with Ava and Oprah, I'm definitely, I think people would agree you are here.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
tell us a little bit about your background and your beginnings, because on TV you play someone that is privileged, the son of famous parents.
Yeah.
How does that, you know, compare or contrast to your upbringing? I know that I was surprised to find out that you're a New Yorker. You grew up in Long Island, so
Want to be New York. Long Island, some people says it doesn't count. But,
oh no, it counts.
yeah, I grew up in New York. I was born in Brooklyn and then was raised in Freeport. I think every family is a bit dysfunctional. Some people are just better at hiding it. But I had 8 siblings and a wonderful superhero mom who kind of held it all together and gave us all what we need. I mean, 8 kids running around in a house. There's such like specific needs for each of them. And no one of us are the same, clearly, but professionally, you know, we have a police officer, we have a nurse, my brother's really into fashion and design. Like, none of us do the same thing, but she managed to show us the same amount of support and pride. You know, my sister advancing in her nursing career is just as cool as me doing Queen Sugar. You know, so there's a big support vibe, and I'm happy to have a tribe, because like when I go anywhere, they're with me. You know what I mean? I'm not scared to do anything, because if I fall, I got 8 people in my corner at least. You know, so that was my upbringing. And when I started performing, they just were all angels. You know, a lot of them like haven't missed any shows unless they were genuinely dealing with their 5 kids. But I'm grateful to have that foundation my head can't get too big because, you know, it's family, you know, that's what they're good for.
I'm thinking about some things that you've said in this interview as well as in others about the idea of the artist activist.
Yeah.
And you went into the whole idea of what you wanted to put out with Last Looks, but tell us a little bit more about what does that mean to you to be an artist activist? Why not just, you know, entertain, especially at this point in your career where, you know, you have this great platform of Queen Sugar, you could go off and do anything, but what exactly does that mean and why do you feel that's necessary to be an artist activist?
Great question. And I think if you're lucky, you can do both. You can both entertain and educate. But I think more recently, we're seeing that television and movies are being used as an educational tool. And I think it's so important to bank on that because students, kids, adults, there are people who are stuck into habits that are much older than me. But if they could sit down and watch a 2-hour movie and learn versus pick up a book or, you know, I feel a great obligation to contributing to that, to people learning and moving my generation and the ones before me and ahead forward. You know, some parts of the country, some parts of people are stuck so far behind. They're being entertained or they're sort of being preoccupied by the media that's out there. I'm sure I'm gonna get this wrong, but in the origins of like plays and things, it was really democratic. It was, you know, we can come here to have a conversation, you know, when we think of theater as engagement, we could come to have a conversation about what is happening politically and have a dialogue between actor and audience. I don't think that that should be lost, whatever the medium. You know, I love that Queen Sugar, we do talkbacks and you can now tweet and social media has become a thing where you can genuinely engage. I think that's important, you know? So I'm not saying we have to be stone-faced and that's the only art that we can make, but I just think that that dialogue should always be there.
So from growing up on Long Island, The Lion King, the theater, you've got, you know, this role in a hit TV show, major players, a television icon, Oprah Winfrey, a wonderful trailblazer, Ava DuVernay. Then you go ahead and I'm just following this journey of yours. You write and create this film. What then is next for you? Because it seems like, I mean, again, and just in case some people don't know, Micah is a teenager, but you are not. You are in your 20s, your early 20s. A few years removed. So you've done so much, you know, so far. What is next in terms of what you'd like to do as an actor? I know you spoke about some of the writing, but is there like a dream role or that you feel like you would like to play at this point?
There's a dream position. I want to be CEO. I want to.
Okay.
I want to really facilitate or become a present voice. This is me speaking my intention. So, I really would like to become a present voice in the entertainment industry, as we know it to be called that. I'd like for my work to be political. I'd like, in addition to creating content that moves us forward, I'd like to look back on the generations behind me. You know, I run a scholarship program. We had spoken about that before. If I could support myself doing what I love, which is to create art, which is to tell stories, I'd be very happy. It's so hard, though, in our field to know what's next as an actor because you're waiting for the opportunity. And that's why, you know, I'm sort of taking this thing into my own hands by deciding to write and direct and produce, you know? That was always my mantra before Queen Sugar when, you know, the work wasn't coming as consistently. That's what started the scholarship program. I was like, I need something tangible. I need something to do. So wherever it is, you know, if I'm headstrong enough and God is in my corner as much as my family is, there'll be a bevy of things that'll find themselves to me. And if not, I got the laptop, I got the pencil, I got the pen to make that opportunity for myself. Yeah, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, but this is not the beginning or the end of my career.
Sounds like a true Renaissance man sitting at our seat here at Cultural Caravan doing a little bit of everything to bring those stories to light and to really make a difference with your art. In terms of just what you might be able to share with our audience, particularly those that are fledgling writers or maybe even fledgling artist activists, what sort of advice could you give to them? Because it sounds to me like you really are somebody that lives in your truth and are very authentic with your work and your purpose. but how in this industry where so many times you do have to conform, like what type of advice would you give to actors and artists in terms of having the strength and the will to be their authentic selves, as it seems like you've tried to be?
That's the exact trick. You know, I think a lot of times young writers, I am a young writer, but especially when I was young in my writing, I was thinking so much on the reception. I would write a joke not because it belonged to my story, but because I was thinking of, will people laugh at this? Is this funny? Oh, this part's gonna make them cry. Look, I'm gonna make grandma over here. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not about that. Everyone has such a unique experience. You know, we know it from where we grow up. I grew up in this little town, but every person in that town had a different experience of what 1995 to 2018 has been for them. You know, so embrace that. We already are unique. And if you can chronicle that in a compelling way, again, in a universal way, you've already done the job. Your voice is merited. But don't think about, you know, what will people think of this? Am I being funny? If that's your intention, you're setting yourself up for failure right then. And the second thing is you just got to write that thing. You got to write, you know, we put our dreams off to the side. We're too busy, you know, working the marshal's job or like, which is fine, do what you got to do, but you have to be obedient to the call if that is your calling. If you feel that you were put on this earth to be an artist, to be a writer, to be a painter, to be a dancer, to work at Marshall's, be the best damn writer, painter, Marshall's employee you can be. You feel me? And I think a lot of people don't realize that, you know, this Queen Sugar was luck. You know, I've always been acting and stuff, but Oprah always talks about, you know, luck, or I'm mixing it up, but opportunity is when luck meets preparation. So you got to stay prepared because you're gonna get lucky one day. But if they come knocking on your door and you're like, oh, I didn't finish the thing that I had, you know, be ready for when someone comes knocking on your door. Otherwise, you'll just, you know, squander that opportunity. So that's my biggest advice: to start writing and just trust that whatever it is you have to say is enough.
Yes, I think that those words are great ones to close on. I think that a lot of people are going to be inspired to fulfill their purpose and be enough and just go out and do it. Thank you so much, Nicholas L. Ashe or Nick Ashe. Thank you so Ashe. Ashe. Yes, Ashe.
Rabin.
Yes.
And for the record, one last final thought. I know a lot of this advice feels very like yearbook, like you're cool, stay cool, like believe in yourself, but there's really merit in that. I find myself haunted by all the things I grew up hearing, you know, be yourself, you know, believe in yourself, follow your dreams, work hard and shoot for the moon. All of that is real advice. You know, you have to know yourself to believe in yourself. So spend that time doing your homework. Don't fit in, like all the stuff that we neglect as like hearsay and like, you know, oh, these colloquialisms that everyone says. There is real merit in them. So follow that advice, pick up that book, write your script, go to Marshall's 12 to 5.
This is not yearbook. That is Ashe, y'all. That's Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Thank you so much,
Thank
Nick
you.
Ashe,
This was
for
mad
your words.
fun.
Yeah, oh, thank you. It was mad fun for me too.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you so much for being part of the Cultural Caravan,
Oh, yeah.
and we wish you much success.
Yeah, thank you.
let's welcome Joe Patan.
They jumping in the city, West Indian happy, happy whole time for Labor Day. I tell you, no problem, for we take over Harlem Sunday, eve of Labor Day. Virgin Islands crew in town, St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. When you hear